What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today we are doing another first draft, which I guess is technically not a first draft, but of course it's going to be the first draft with fixtures. They have dropped this morning. We now know who's playing who, which is of course extremely important when you want to put together a draft team. Man United and Man City are going to blank in game week 1. There's some teams with better fixtures than we might have hoped for, some teams with worse fixtures. So I've put together a new draft. Before we jump into that, if this is the type of video that you like, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new around here, I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of the season, which of course is a big task, but I know a lot of people watching this will not be subscribed. So consider doing it. It's completely free. Hit that button, hit that notification bell, and let's get on with this. So just quickly before I reveal the draft, I did want to say today's video has been sponsored by OneFootball. I'm really glad to have them back on board this season. I'm hoping they're going to help me take this channel to the next level of content. If you've not already tried them out, it's a completely free football app. There's a link in the description below. You can get it on iOS or Android. Like I said, it's completely free. You get all your team news, your kind of up-to-date player news, stats and stuff like that. When the matches are back on as well throughout the season, you get your goal notifications and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, it's great for FPL from a kind of Premier League point of view, but if you like kind of European football and world football as well, you can get all that up-to-date news as well. So if you want to give it a go, like I said, it's completely free. There's a link in the description below. Just click that and it'll take you straight through to download. Okay, so let's do the defense first. Now, I'm going to do this a bit like my team reveal. So I'm going to do defense, then midfield, then the full team, and kind of talk about it in general. Not necessarily to kind of give you any suspense or anything like that about what's to come, but it's good to talk about the individual sections and then kind of tie it in together at the end. Maybe say, well, this is why I had that cheap player because I want this expensive player, or whatever it might be. And of course, this draft is going to change before game week 1. I wouldn't be an FPL manager if I just set and forget kind of 2 or 3 weeks out from kickoff. And I can talk you through the kind of players that I'm maybe not completely happy with, how I might fund them up to more expensive players, and who I might look to get. And stuff like that as well. So stay till the end, stay till the full team review, and I'll kind of talk us through that as we go. So let's start with the defense. Now, the biggest kind of placeholder in this whole team is the goalkeeper. I'm pretty sure, at least with the kind of formation I've gone for and the players I've picked, I'm going to go for a 4.5 million goalkeeper because I just think usually they're quite good value. There's no way I'm going up to Pope for 5.5, especially when they blank in the first game week. So I'm looking at a 4.5. If I had 0.5 million left over, would I look to go to a 5 million goalkeeper? Absolutely. But right now I only have 4.5 million. I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between which one you go for. Bearing in mind the first wildcard has to be used, otherwise you lose it by game week 16. So we've got a few less game weeks to keep these players for. So you're only looking at the first 16 game weeks maximum. If you think you're going to wildcard earlier, then you're looking at even less game weeks to have that goalkeeper in. So I've gone for McCarthy as mine, Southampton goalkeeper. There's other options like Ryan. I think Ramsdale's going to come in at 5 million at Sheffield United. So if you've got 5 million, he would be one to consider. But I've gone for McCarthy. If you look at the first 16 game weeks, he's probably about as good as it gets. He's not really got massively amazing fixtures, but no one does. Like Ryan at Brighton's in exactly the same position. Lee's goalkeepers are 4.5 million, but their fixture run is pretty tough at the start. Even if you think they're going to come up and do well, it's not a pretty start for them at all. So McCarthy's my pick. And I'm going for a £4.0 million non-playing goalkeeper. Would I rotate? Would I maybe rotate 2.45 million goalkeepers? Maybe. But the last few seasons, I have much preferred kind of set and forget. Just pick your goalkeeper. Hope they get some saves in the tough games. Hopefully, they get like the odd clean sheet from a game you wouldn't expect it. And obviously, in the easier games, hopefully they pick up a few easier clean sheets. So 4.5 million goalkeeper, definitely. Is it going to be McCarthy? I won't decide on goalkeeper till much closer to game week 1. But that's kind of showing you the kind of price points and stuff that I've chosen. In defence, so I've gone for double Wolves defence. Now, if you look at the fixtures, which I've got next to me, Sheffield United away, I don't think that's necessarily an easy fixture from an attacking point of view, or at least it wasn't last year. I think Henderson will be a miss, but Ramsdale's coming in, so it's not too bad. So Sheffield United away is not great from an attacking sense, but from a defensive sense, I think it's fine. I don't think Sheffield United are that concerning going forward. Man City at home in the second game week isn't great for Wolves, and that is their toughest fixture in the first 6. But Wolves are one of the best defensive teams, or even one of the best teams in the league. So I don't think it's a huge issue having to play Man City. Now, in my situation, I don't necessarily have to play both Doherty and Vinagre because I've got other players on the bench like Justin. So Leicester's fixtures are pretty good as well. In game week 2, they play Burnley at home. So I would have to play Doherty unless I want to play Ferguson, which I probably wouldn't, which is fine because Doherty's very attacking as well. And maybe I could bench Vinagre and play Justin instead just to kind of limit that risk from the Man City game. But after that, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Leeds away, Newcastle at home. Now, we don't know how these teams are going to perform. Like Leeds are I've spoken to a few Leeds fans who are quite confident about their chances in the league next year. Obviously not saying they're going to win it or get a European place, but they're going to be comfortable. Now, are they going to be a Norwich where they get battered? Are they going to be a Sheffield United where they keep a lot of clean sheets? A lot of fans seem to think they're going to be somewhere in between. But I've told myself I'm not going to overthink fixtures. So if I look at West Ham, Fulham, Leeds, Newcastle, that's a good run of 4 fixtures for me. That warrants double Wolves defence. Now, Vinagre will depend a lot on whether Wolves sign a new left-back. If they do, and they have been linked to some, then obviously that makes him maybe, I could change him into a different player. Maybe a Charlie Taylor, who I don't play game week 1, but I play after that. Whoever it might be, he can change into another 4.5. But I'm really liking the look of Doherty. It's very tough to get to a second Liverpool defender in the formation and the kind of price points that I've chosen. Plus, after Leeds, it's Chelsea away and Arsenal at home. So again, not saying that's necessarily really difficult for Liverpool, because obviously they're the best team in the league, given that they won the league last year. But maybe it's not the ideal set of fixtures to have double defence when they cost so much. So right now, I've got Doherty and Alexander-Arnold as my kind of big hitting defenders. And the fixtures maybe aren't ideal, but for Liverpool, I just think they're so good, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is so good. It's extremely difficult not to go with him. I will probably put some drafts together without him, but I don't think I'm going to like him very much. So he's kind of a dead set in there. And Justin is probably going to start the season because Ricardo Pereira is out. Only issue, I guess, is I'm kind of lining myself up for a transfer down the line. But Leicester's fixtures are very good to open up. So West Brom away, Burnley at home to open up. Then they got Man City away. But again, you just play Vinagre against West Ham instead of playing Justin. Then West Ham at home, Villa at home. So fixtures are really, really good for Leicester. Now, they have performed badly since lockdown, but at the start of last season, they were really good. You'd hope that maybe they could keep Chilwell. They got James Maddison back from injury, for example. So I'm going to give them a chance, I think. So for 4.5, I think Justin could be a goer. And then Ferguson's the 4.0 million defender that I've opted for. Now, there's no guarantee that he will start. We don't know that for sure. But there's a lot of hope he will be Crystal Palace's fullback on the right-hand side going into next year. And ultimately, I told myself I don't need 3 playing bench options. Very, very rare that you call on all 3 bench players. And even on the game weeks that you do, my thinking is that for all those game weeks you didn't spend money on the bench, you've probably got a bigger increase in points than that one game week in 10 maybe, or even 15, where you need to call on the 3rd bench player. So if Ferguson doesn't play, it's not much of an issue. And I think that's one of the mistakes I made with my actual first draft. I didn't have him in, so I didn't have that extra money to spend elsewhere. So that's the defence. Let's take a look at the midfield. Okay, so this is where things get a little bit more interesting. And to be honest, this is probably the part of my team that I'm least comfortable with, because I've got 2 £5.5 million playing midfielders, St Maximin and Armstrong. Now, if Vinagre and Justin, and maybe if Ferguson's playing, had really good fixtures, I could maybe bench one of those 2, but I'm not massively comfortable about having 2 5.5s, mostly because there's not too many options that stand out to me right now. Like Leeds, for example, got Harrison, winger that could come into play at some point, but the fixtures aren't great for Leeds at all to start off, and I'd want to see him play in the Premier League before I kind of go and take a punt there. So those 2 worry me a bit. But of course, I've got them in because I've got big hitters elsewhere that I'm really happy with. So Aubameyang has to be in. He opens up with Fulham away. I think it's West Ham at home. Fulham away and West Ham at home. And the great thing about that is, after that game, they play Liverpool, then Sheffield United, then Man City, then Leicester. And as a group of 4 fixtures, I don't particularly like them very much. Because Man City are blank in the first game week, I don't feel like I need them. But in game week 3, when Aubameyang's fixtures get fairly tough, Man City have Leicester at home, Leeds away, Arsenal at home, West Ham away. Now, it's not like that's the most ideal run of fixtures, but I think it's better than Arsenal's. So I can have a quick look in game week 2 at the likes of De Bruyne and Sterling, and maybe switch Aubameyang from Sterling and De Bruyne. And I think because of the price points this year, we've got 3 players in midfield at 12 million, we've got De Bruyne and Sterling at 11.5. We are probably going to have to move them around quite a lot. So I'm not locking myself into an early wildcard, although I'm not saying that won't happen anyway, because obviously without Man United and Man City players, I might want them fairly quickly, and it's going to be tough to get a lot in without rejigging the team completely. But right now, I think I have to start with Aubameyang. He could be the captain in Game Week 1. His Game Week 2 fixture's great as well. He could even be playing as a central striker as well for Arsenal, depending on who else they sign. So great option whether he's playing on the wing or not. So he's definitely in the team, I think. And then I have to have Salah as well. Leeds opening fixture, Game Week 1. Again, really good fixture for captaincy potentially. As good as Leeds might do, you're at home at Anfield. You've got to back Salah and Mane to do well. So Salah's in the team. I think when he's priced the same as Mane, I'm just never going to choose Mane. Maybe after a few weeks, if I see something that makes me think Mane should be the one in my team, then I might make that switch. But right now, if I'm choosing a Liverpool player, it has to be him. And like I said, St-Maximin and Armstrong are kind of best of a bad bunch. You've got Souček in there at 5 million as well. West Ham's opening fixture is good. I think it's Newcastle at home, but after that, it's really tough. Newcastle's are okay. Now, whether you'd back them for attacking returns, I'm not sure. But West Ham away, Brighton at home are okay. Then Spurs away, Burnley at home. So the opening 4 fixtures are not too bad. Southampton's fixtures are kind of mixed too. So Crystal Palace away, Tottenham at home, Burnley away, West Brom at home. So they're not bad fixtures either. And for 5.5 million, maybe you shouldn't expect too many points. But they're in there because they're letting me spend money elsewhere. I've got a £6 million defender along with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And wait till you see my strike force as well. So this is certainly not a team that I would like for too long term. I don't think St-Maximin and Armstrong are going to get enough points to warrant that 5.5 million pound price point. But I am going to talk about my forwards now, and then you'll get a clearer idea of why I've done that, and also where I might eke some money out of the current players in my squad to upgrade the likes of St Max and Armstrong as well. Okay, so adding in the forwards as well. So you already saw that I had 2 premium heavy hitters in midfield, Aubameyang and Salah. Well, I've got 2 forwards that are just about as expensive as you can get in FPL this year, in Werner at 9.5 and Jamie Vardy at 10 million. So there's only so much money you can spend. So obviously I've had to get a cheap striker in. Mitrovic is in at 6 million. Now, this is another slight concern. I think Fulham's opening fixtures are okay. Arsenal at home, Leeds away, Aston Villa at home, first 3. But obviously we saw Aston Villa at the end of last season do much better defensively than they did for the rest of the season. We still don't know what Leeds will be like, and obviously that's another promoted team as well. So that could be a tight one too. So it's interesting with Mitrovic. He's kind of best of a bad bunch. I could go for Che Adams maybe, but I've already got Armstrong in there. Do I want another Southampton player? I'd basically be tripling up on Southampton, and I'm not quite sure they're good enough, or at least that the fixtures are good enough for that. And I don't have another 0.5 million in this setup to go up to a 6.5 million, but I think Antonio's fixtures are really tough for West Ham anyway. The other option would be someone like Chris Wood, but he blanks in Game Week 1. So it's all quite tough. And I'll tell you what, I've not put together a draft yet, but I will at some point. I might do a video about it. And that's maybe going 4 at the back, either in a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2, because I've got a few price points, St Max, Armstrong, Mitrovic, or I could maybe go for a defender instead at basically between 5 and 6 million. And maybe eke out a few 0.5s to spend elsewhere. So I think 4 at the back might be a goer. Obviously, I'm going to keep thinking about this team a lot before Game Week 1, so it's going to change. But that's something I'm currently thinking about. Or the other option is to downgrade Vardy to another like 6.5, 7 million pound forward, whatever it might be, and obviously use the money to put into midfield out instead. So maybe even if it's not in Game Week 1, maybe that's a way to get Greenwood in at 7.5 million, Foden in at 6.5 million, whatever it might be. But the thing with Jamie Vardy is, yes, I know Leicester were not great post-lockdown. They took him a while to start scoring again after Christmas. But for the start of the season, he was amazing. James Maddison was also injured for a lot of the end of the season as well. He should be back. And when you look at the fixtures, I've already mentioned, West Brom away, newly promoted side. Burnley at home, then Man City away, which is tough. West Ham at home, Aston Villa at home. 3 home fixtures in the first 5 that are Villa, West Ham, Burnley. An away game against West Brom, that's about as good as it gets from an opening set of fixtures. So I'm strongly considering him. I think a lot of people will write him off because he's 10 million, forgetting that I don't have to keep him for the rest of the season. And if I want to go up to a 10.5 like Kane or Aguero, I'm only 0.5 million off. And of course, if I want to downgrade him to someone like Danny Ings or Jimenez, for example, I've not got a Wolves attacker, even though Wolves fixtures in Game Week 3 are amazing. So I might downgrade to Jimenez and then have an extra 1.5 million to spend elsewhere. So 10 million is a bit hard to take for Vardy, I think, but he has shown he can do really well, and he has done that for the past few seasons when he's been in the Premier League. I don't think he's quite past his peak just yet, and he's got the fixtures to match. Another option is, of course, Harry Kane. I would have to find 0.5 million from this team. Everton at home, Southampton away, Newcastle at home to start, and they have West Ham at home in Game Week 5. So fixtures arguably as good, if not slightly better than for Jamie Vardy, but you got to find that 0.5 million from somewhere. So I could downgrade one of Armstrong or St Max to Souček and do it that way, but West Ham's fixtures aren't great. I don't want to be in a position to be playing Souček every single week. So that's what I'm thinking. I really like the look of Wolves. Apart from that Man City fixture, I think they look great for the opening 6. So Doherty is someone that I really want now. I'd love to fit Jimenez in, but it would be at the cost of Vardy, which might not be a bad thing for my overall team, kind of balance. Maybe Vardy down to Jimenez, and maybe upgrade Armstrong or set Maximin or whatever it might be. So I know I'm going to get loads of comments that you hate this team. It's an awful team. Personally, I don't think it's that bad. You've got to look at the strong points. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Doherty, Salah, Aubameyang, Werner and Vardy. 6 great players, potentially. And obviously, I have to fit in other players in to be able to afford that. It's game week 1. There's not that much money to go around. We don't know who the absolute bargains are necessarily just yet. So that's the full team. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. So that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. The support has been incredible on the channel so far in pre-season. I think we've hit 1,000 likes on every single video, so keep that up. It really does help the channel. And like I said, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to get to 100k by the end of the season. That would be phenomenal. So if you haven't already, click that button, hit the notification bell. It won't cost you anything to do that. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, my links are in the description below. I'll be producing content on there as well. And lastly, thanks to everyone that signed up to Patreon. I've had a good few new people sign up to that in pre-season, and obviously I'll be running that all throughout the season as well. So there's extra content there which starts on Friday for the Q&A video that I'm going to do, to get your questions in for that if you're on Patreon already. And if you want to sign up, the links in the description below. There's WhatsApp one-to-one, team reveals and all that kind of stuff. So links are all in the description below if you want to check any of that out. Otherwise, I'll catch you for another video soon. Thanks very much for watching and good luck with the tinkering. I'm so happy that the fixtures are out.